Boy, have I had a lot to think about this week. I was thinking about something I saw in an old Baptist church, old Baptist minister. He shouted out, "The truth will set you free." And I thought, yeah, this is a week we could really use that. The truth will set you free. And what's the truth? We are powerful, creative, spiritual beings who get to choose our experience through what we decide to perceive. We get to choose. And our feelings, they don't just change. You know, people talk about, you could choose your feelings. I have never been able to do that. But I can choose how I view stuff, how I see it, how I feel it, how I embody it, and then from there, my emotions shift with it. That the only time my emotions don't shift is when I'm stuck in that place of, this is how it is. No, this is the facts, and they're bad. And I need to feel bad about this because these are the facts. What a week. In the United States, we have a new president. Not the one I anticipated or hoped for, but there are those that did. And so this is not a political speech I'm giving you today. It's simply whatever side you're on. If you're on the side that doesn't like how it turned out, this talk's for you. If you're on the side where it did turn out, this talk's for you. Just so we're clear. Because it's always about who we're being, not what's happening out here. The thing about being focused on what happens out here is that, you know, our teaching is so powerful that if you focus on and use the affirmations and use visualization and use the mental equivalence, you're going to get a better life, you're going to get whatever it is you're focused on. It happens. It works. This stuff is great. But have you ever heard the saying that no matter where you go, you take yourself with you? You can get what you want from here to doomsday, but if you haven't transformed, if you haven't changed, then you're the same person who got what it is you got, and you maybe thinking there going, yay, but then there's no transformation in that. Transformation does not rectify, it transmutes. You guys have heard me say that before. Transformation does not rectify, it transmutes. And when we focus on anything out there that we want, it's rectifying. Doesn't matter what it is. We think without it, we'd be better off with it. And so that's rectifying. Transformation happens a whole nother way. We change. Through our changing our embodiment, something different happens out here. And you may wind up with what you wanted anyway without ever focusing on that, simply focusing on who you're being. If you want a better world out here, you got to first have a better world in here. Otherwise, the rectification shifts back. I mean, I look at our president and I think, what an incredible practitioner of some of what we teach. He focused on, if I'm not president, there must be fraud. So, of course, I'm going to be president. I mean, what stronger affirmation is there than that? So he got it. But is he any different? I get all these feeds on people who worked with him in the White House last time and who were around him all the time. And from what I can tell, the guy's miserable. He's miserable. And so that's what he's got. even when he gets what he wants. I've experienced that. I've experienced getting complete freedom and being miserable because I thought freedom was about what was happening out here instead of what's happening in here. So I know how he feels. You can get everything you want and still wind up feeling like the world's a terrible place. Like everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Oh, speaking of which, I heard something brilliant this week that changes everything. Turns out that there is a town in Norway named Hell, and it does freeze over. I had to share that with you guys. I looked it up. It's true. It wasn't just a feed. It's really true. What we embody manifests. And the thing about the truth that will set you free is that another tenet in our, something Dr. Holmes, our founder, used to say all the time, is to abandon the truth in our hour of need is to not understand the truth. To abandon the truth in our hour of need is to not understand the truth. There are people in our movement who are very concerned and worried about spiritual bypass. Oh, if we just go to the truth, we don't get to have our feelings. Well, let me tell you something about your feelings and mine and all our feelings. We get to have them, and they happen in the moment that whatever happens occurs. But then there's this next moment. And in the next moment, if all we're doing is sitting around going, these are the reasons for my upset, we're no longer in our feelings anyway. We're in our reasons. And once we're in our reasons, we get to change those reasons because those reasons are coming from how we're viewing stuff. And we get to change how we're viewing it in a way that might actually work to transform ourselves. And in transforming ourselves, the next thing occurs is something actually out here does happen differently. I've experienced that so often, and it's still awe-inspiring and wondrous to me that as I change, what happens out here changes. That as I deepen what's happening inside here for me, my experience of everything is changing. My experience with my lovely wife, Ash. I mean, our relationship just keeps deepening and deepening, and I notice that's because I keep getting that way. She keeps telling me that I'm actually a nicer guy to be around. My son says the same thing. I think I told you guys. He kept wishing I was like that when he was younger. So this is what we're going through, right? There's some of the other things in the news besides the election are the floods in Spain. Well, what didn't make the news, but I found out about because I'm teaching this practitioner class I mentioned to you folks. And in the practitioner class, I have a student from Nigeria. This student lives in a town that flooded. A town of 200,000 people, and everybody had to abandon the town because of its flood. And it turns out that happens almost every year, once a year. The town floods, and everybody has to leave until the waters recede. And the interesting part about it, talk about perception, right, is not only doesn't it make the news, but they're not devastated. It's just part of what they go through. So they leave for a couple weeks, and then they come back. And there aren't billions and billions of dollars in damage because nobody invested billions and billions of dollars in the first place. And so their perception of an event, the exact same event that happened in Spain and happened in Asheville, happened in New Orleans a few years ago, they have this happen every year, but their relationship to it, the way they view it, the way they are with it, is completely different than all of us who are in these, top world countries. And so it's about perception. Our feelings of devastation are about our perception, how we view the event that's occurring, so that then we can, if we shift it, our emotions shift with it. And I don't know if you've noticed, as I have, if I am calm, I make better choices anyway. From a place of devastation and urgency, I tend to make bad choices. Or am I the only one? And so I'm not saying that something doesn't need to get done. I'm not saying that there isn't work to be done in the world and that we're not here to do that work. I'm not saying any of that at all. I'm saying, can we see it from a place where we can come up with choices that actually might transform instead of rectify? Because if you're urgent, if you're sure you're right, if you're sure this is the way it needs to be done and there must be action taken now, I promise you, you're in a place of rectifying. If you're in a place of everything is good, life is beautiful, these are problems that have their own solution, and I'll get there once I'm in an awakened place. The actions you take change. What you do changes. How you are with people changes when you come from an awakened place, as opposed to there's something wrong that needs fixing. It's the same event, but viewing it differently brings about a transformation instead of a rectifying. And that's how we can really make a difference in the world. I look at some of the things going on in life, and I see how we're so quick to rectify. We talked about it in men's circle yesterday, how quick we go to rectifying and how special it is when instead of trying to rectify, we sit back and we're curious and we listen and we allow something to unfold that we may never have thought possible because we're too busy trying to fix stuff. We actually miss the possibilities. And so in this teaching, you can use it to change and get what you want in life. You can do that. But the more powerful place, the place that actually will make a difference in other people's lives, will make a difference for generations to come, is if we can shift ourselves. Because then we set that standard. It's not a standard that's ever been set before, where that personal responsibility of shifting ourselves is the standard for what others then get to rise to. But we get to do that if we choose to. So it's a choice that each of us has that we take forward every minute of every day. And it isn't always only for the big things in life. This week I was walking my dog and practicing my talk for you guys, and I was approached by a man in our neighborhood who wanted to have a conversation. And I kind of blew him off because I was being serious about what I was doing, and I did not engage him. And as I'm walking further along, another man, this is like never happened before, another guy comes up to me and tries to engage me in conversation. And lo and behold, because I am such a slow learner, I blew him off too. And I kept walking. I mean, I blew him off nicely. I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And then just kept walking, And so I'm in the park, and I'm walking, and I'm practicing my talk. And all of a sudden, it dawns on me what I just did. That I just passed two opportunities for connection. And I'm like, oh, wow. Well, if I get a third time, I'm not passing it by next time. And so sure enough, as I'm on my way home, I go by the guy's house, the first one who tried to talk to me, and I stopped this time. And we had a lovely conversation. That went on for quite a while. And he shared deeply with me in a way that I had no idea would occur. But if I had just gone on my way, being sure that what I was involved in, being clear that this is what needed to get done, because, I was preparing for you guys and I needed to make sure I was prepared. If I had done that, I would have missed this. In fact, I did twice. And maybe you are too, because you're focused on whatever it is you're focused on. There's life happening all the time. The steaming of life is occurring in every moment. It isn't just about smelling the roses. It's about connecting with people. That's what we're doing here. That's what we want. But what it takes is us changing what's important. The most important thing I can bring to you is how we change ourselves in a way that connects us to life, connects us to each other, connects us in that wholeness that allows for true transformation. True transformation. I got a poem for you guys. And now for something completely different. I'm going to read you guys a poem. It's by Rainier Maria Rilke. It's called The Man Watching. I can tell by the way the trees beat after so many dull days on my worried window panes that a storm is coming. I hear the far-off fields say things I can't bear without a friend. I can't love without a sister. The storm, the shifter of shapes, drives on across the woods and across time. The world looks as if it had no age. The landscape, like a line in the psalm book, is seriousness and weight and eternity. What we choose to fight is so tiny. What fights with us is so great. If only we would let ourselves be dominated as things do by some immense storm, we would become strong too and not need names. When we win, it's with small things, and the triumph itself makes us small. What is extraordinary and eternal does not want to be bent by us. I mean the angel who appeared to the wrestlers in the Old Testament. When the wrestler's sinews grew long like metal strings, he felt them under his fingers like chords of deep music. Whoever was beaten by this angel, who often simply declined to fight, went away proud and strengthened, and great from the harsh hand that kneaded him as if to change his shape. Winning does not tempt that man. That is how he grows, by being defeated decisively by constantly greater beings. Winning does not tempt that person. When we stop looking at the world as winning and losing, we begin to see the true power of our own growth, the true power that is in each and every one of us to bring forth into the world in a way that makes a difference, not just for ourselves, but by anybody around us. When we stop looking at the world as success and failure and start viewing it as connection, as eternity, as something large and beautiful, awestruck. These events that occur in life, these storms, every single one in your life and in the life of the world are there to strengthen you, to make you stronger, to turn you into the awesome spiritual being that you truly are. When that is the focus of your life, to be that, the changes you make in the world go beyond anything you can imagine. When you focus on being that best, strengthening yourself through these storms, you become something extraordinary. You become that. I see that for each and every one of you. You become that. We become that greatness that is within each and every one of us. I love you. Thank you.